Hello, friend. Welcome back to Couch Tales. When your 20-something doesn't follow the script, a parent's perspective. What happens when your 20-something child doesn't follow the traditional? Is it a cause for concern, or is it just a sign of changing times? You won't believe what happens when these parents take a step back and realize something big about their child's journey. You'll want to hear it. The traditional script. Go to school, get a job, travel, find a partner, settle down with kids. It's been the right way for decades. Many parents see this as a tried and true way to live. And as their children enter their 20s, there's often an unspoken expectation that they'll follow this path. But what happens when they don't? Meet Tom and Elaine, parents of Zoe, their free-spirited daughter who has chosen a different route. While her friends are graduating, jumping into corporate jobs, or settling into marriages, Zoe has decided to take a year off after college to travel and focus on starting her own business. For Tom and Elaine, this is a curveball they didn't expect. They had always assumed Zoe would follow the script: school, job, career, stability, maybe even a house with a white picket fence someday. Instead, they find themselves with a 23-year-old daughter who isn't sure what's next. She's loving the uncertainty of it, but her parents, they're in turmoil. From Tom's perspective, he worries about Zoe's future. What's she going to do for retirement? How will she ever save money? She can't keep running away from responsibility, he thinks. Elaine, while more understanding, still has a sense of concern. She knows Zoe has a creative streak and a passion for design, but she worries that this gap year might turn into a gap decade. Their worries come from a place of love, but also from the expectations they've had for themselves and the generations before them. After all, they followed the traditional script. They went to school, found jobs, found each other, built a family. It worked for them, so naturally they want the same for their daughter. But in the back of their minds, they're also dealing with a sense of guilt. Is Zoe's journey a result of something they did wrong in raising her? Are they to blame for her not wanting to follow the plan? Now here's where it gets interesting. One weekend, Tom and Elaine decide to visit Zoe, and the conversation turns to the future. They sit around a table at a quirky cafe, sipping their coffee and discussing Zoe's unconventional plans. Zoe, of course, is excited to share her adventures, her freelance work, and the travels she's been doing. "I'm learning so much, Mom and Dad. I'm building something real. I feel free," she shares with enthusiasm, her eyes sparkling. But Tom, trying to hold it together, interrupts. "I get that. But when are you going to settle down, Zoe? You can't live like this forever, you know. What's the plan?" Zoe pauses. She understands where her dad is coming from, but she's also hurt by the lack of faith in her decisions. "The plan is to figure it out as I go, but I'm figuring it out. I'm making money, creating things that matter to me. I'm just not living in limbo. I just don't need a traditional path to feel successful." That's when Elaine, who had been quietly listening, speaks up. "I think what Zoe is saying is that maybe the right way isn't always the only way. Maybe we don't need to follow a script that's been handed to us. Her journey is her own, and maybe it's okay for it to look different than ours." That moment was a breakthrough for Tom. He realized that Zoe's path didn't need to be the same as his to be valid. The freedom she was embracing didn't mean she wasn't serious about her future. It meant she was doing things in a way that made sense for her. By the end of their visit, Tom and Elaine started to understand that their daughter's path may look different, but that doesn't mean it's any less valuable. The traditional script of school, job, marriage, and kids wasn't the only way to build a successful and fulfilling life. Zoe had found her own path, one that worked for her, and that was okay. Psychologically speaking, this kind of shift in thinking is a sign of personal growth for parents. It's not easy, but it's doable. It requires them to let go of their own expectations and fears. This kind of flexibility in thinking is often referred to as cognitive flexibility, the ability to adapt our thoughts and behaviors to new information and experiences. It's also something psychologists would say is crucial for emotional well-being. Zoe's journey represents a new era of possibility, where non-traditional paths are celebrated, not feared. As for Tom and Elaine, their willingness to embrace change is a perfect example of how parents, too, can evolve. So here's the deal. If your 20-something child isn't following the traditional route, don't panic. It's not a sign that they've lost their way. They might just be creating a new map, or maybe not. And as parents, it's your role to trust their decisions and support their unique journey, even if it looks way different from yours. All right, that's it for today's episode of Couch Tales, Why We Do What We Do. I'm your host, Analia. If you like this episode, take a moment to follow us. Hit that subscribe button and share it with someone who might need a little reminder that different doesn't mean wrong. Drop a comment about your experiences with parenting 20-somethings or navigating societal expectations. Until next time, friend, stay curious, stay kind, and remember that there is more than one path to success.